Tip 1. If you want to become a better whitetail deer hunter, it all starts with one simple truth. You can't shoot deer that aren't there. That might sound obvious, but it's the foundation of everything. The most important skill a hunter can develop is learning to recognize and set up on active deer sign. What does that mean? It means finding the proof that deer are using an area right now, not last week, not last month, but today. Look for multiple game trails weaving through an area, fresh rubs where bucks have stripped bark off saplings, scrapes with moist dirt and overhanging branches that have been recently worked, fresh droppings scattered nearby. You might even see leaves that have been nipped or plants with clean, torn edges where deer have been feeding. All these clues tell you that deer are not just passing through, but actively using that area. I'd rather spend 3 hours scouting, studying the wind, and confirming sign than waste an entire day sitting somewhere that just looks good but has no recent activity. If I can spend those few hours scouting and then settle in for the last 30 minutes of daylight on a fresh, active trail, my odds skyrocket. Now, once you've located good sign, pay attention to intersections. Where multiple trails cross or converge, that's where movement is funneled. These junctions are often hotspots during the rut or in heavy feeding patterns. Set up downwind of those intersections so your scent doesn't blow into the trails. A few yards in the wrong direction can make or break your hunt. Reading sign is a skill that develops over time. The more hours you spend in the woods, the more you'll start to see patterns, the direction of travel, the size of tracks, how fresh the rubs look, and what food sources are nearby. Deer leave a story behind them every time they move through, and your job is to read that story and position yourself in the right chapter at the right time. Remember, you can't rely only on trail cameras or past success. Conditions change constantly, food sources shift, pressure moves deer, weather alters movement. Fresh sign never lies. If you find new tracks after a rain, or rubs that still have sap seeping from the bark, you're in business. So, if you take one thing from this, let it be this: don't hunt memories, hunt sign. Learn to read what the woods are telling you. Scout smart, trust what you see on the ground, and set up where the action is happening now. That's how you become a better whitetail hunter, by letting the deer themselves show you where to be. Tip 2. When it comes to consistently tagging mature whitetails, one of the biggest keys to success is where you hunt, specifically, how you choose and understand the terrain. It's not just about putting a stand anywhere deer sign exists, it's about finding those spots that stack the odds in your favor. The best hunters know how to read the land like a map of opportunity. When you're scouting or looking over aerial maps, start by focusing on transition zones, places where multiple types of habitat meet. Deer are edge creatures. They love the security of cover, but they also need access to food and the ability to move discreetly between bedding and feeding areas. When several habitat types converge, you've just found a natural hotspot for deer movement. A great example is a field edge that meets a strip of hardwoods, which then fades into a thick swamp. This setup provides everything a mature buck wants: visibility and food near the field, cover and browse in the timber, and the ultimate escape security in the swamp. That mix of food, cover, and safety all in one area makes it a natural travel corridor, especially during the early mornings and late evenings. Here's another example of a high-odds transition zone. Imagine a rolling ridge that drops off into a creek bottom, and that bottom leads into a dense cedar thicket. Bucks will often bed on the upper third of that ridge, using the wind to their advantage, and then drop down through the bottom to scent check DIS or travel unseen. That subtle combination of elevation, water, and cover creates an ideal funnel that channels deer movement into predictable paths. Now, let's talk about habitat and terrain features that really amplify your odds, places where deer feel most comfortable and spend the majority of their time. One of the most underrated yet highly productive environments is swamp country. Swamps provide the perfect mix of isolation and security. The thick vegetation and water barriers discourage human pressure, which makes them prime bedding areas for mature bucks. Deer use these wet, tangled habitats as sanctuaries. During daylight hours, especially in heavily hunted regions, big bucks will push deep into the swamp where few hunters dare to follow. The key is learning how to hunt the edges of these areas without disturbing the core bedding zones. Focus on trails leading out of the swamp toward food sources, or slight rises and dry islands within the marsh that offer bedding and a vantage point for deer to watch their back trail. Pay attention to wind direction and thermals. These play a massive role in how deer navigate swamps. Bucks will often bed with the wind at their back and the open swamp in front, giving them both scent and sight advantage. If you can set up just off their travel route, downwind but not directly in their scent stream, you've got a prime ambush location. The takeaway here is simple: deer movement is dictated by habitat diversity and security. The more your stand location blends those elements, edge, cover, elevation, and safety, the higher your odds of success become. Instead of hunting where it's easiest for you, focus on where it's safest for them. That's where the mature bucks will be. So, as you scout your next hunting area, slow down and read the landscape. Look for those subtle transitions: field to woods, ridge to swamp, creek to thicket. Each one of those edges is a doorway to opportunity. And if you can find a spot where 2 or 3 of those come together, congratulations! You've just found one of the most productive whitetail setups nature has to offer. Tip 3. When it comes to becoming a better deer hunter, there are countless things you can learn: strategies, gear, scouting, calling, wind direction, stand placement, and patience. But when you strip all that away, it really comes down to one thing: the willingness to put in the time and effort it takes to succeed. This final tip, fortitude and fitness, might not sound as glamorous as a new piece of gear or a secret call technique, but make no mistake, it's the foundation everything else rests on. Because the truth is, deer hunting isn't easy. It's not supposed to be. That's part of what makes it so rewarding. The early mornings, the long hikes, the cold sits in the stand, these aren't obstacles, they're the price of admission. It's hard waking up before sunrise when the world is still dark and quiet, loading up your gear, and heading out to public land to claim your spot before anyone else. It's hard climbing trees in the freezing cold, hanging your stand, and then taking it down at the end of the day. It's hard sitting motionless for hours, watching the wind shift and the shadows move, wondering if today will be the day or if you're just wasting your time. But that's where fortitude comes in. The drive to keep going. The mental toughness to stay focused and keep believing, even when nothing seems to be happening. Every hunter hits that point. That low moment when doubt creeps in. When you start to question if you're doing something wrong, if you should have picked another spot, or if you're just chasing ghosts. The hunters who succeed are the ones who push through those moments. They keep learning. They keep showing up. They know that consistency beats luck, and persistence beats frustration. Then there's fitness. Deer hunting demands more from your body than most people realize. You're carrying heavy gear, hiking rough terrain, climbing trees, and sitting still for long stretches in the cold. The better shape you're in, the more efficient and alert you'll be. Physical fitness translates directly into better hunting. When your body isn't struggling, your mind can stay sharp. You can focus on wind direction, movement, and sound, all the little details that separate a good hunter from a great one. Fortitude keeps you going when it's tough. Fitness keeps you capable when it counts. Together, they make the difference between hoping for success and earning it. So when you think about becoming a better deer hunter, remember, it's not just about equipment or tactics. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it. It's about pushing through fatigue, frustration, and doubt. Every early morning, every long hike, every empty sit teaches you something. About the deer, about the land, and about yourself. Because in the end, hunting isn't just about taking a deer. It's about the process. It's about growing tougher, smarter, and more disciplined every time you step into the woods. Fortitude and fitness. That's the final lesson. Stay strong, stay focused, and keep showing up. The woods reward those who refuse to quit.